Welcome, everyone. We'll be fine, darling. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll just give it a couple of minutes to let everyone enter the room as such. While my 9-year-old is negotiating snacks, and we've only just begun. Welcome to P&C land, negotiating and navigating parenthood and P&C and snacks. All right. Welcome, everyone. We'll just give everyone a couple of minutes just to come in. I know that we are competing with a lot of moving parts at this hour of the night between dinners, people arriving home, bath times, etc. So we understand. Some of us are living that experience right now. All right. We'll just give it another minute or so and then we'll kick off. All righty. Well, let's begin. Gemma, I'll hand over to you to kickstart us tonight.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Welcome, everyone. In the spirit of reconciliation, the P&C Federation acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. I'm coming to you from Wallamedigal land, the Eora Nation, and if you would like to, we invite you to share the land that you're coming from in the chat tonight so we can take a moment to celebrate the diversity and the range of people we have from different places across New South Wales in the room tonight. So, as Yvonne mentioned, my name is Gemma Quinn. I'm the Manager of Member Services here at the P&C Federation, and I am so proud to be with you as part of an organisation that's committed to free public education for all and advocates for parents and carers as partners in their children's education. Tonight's webinar forms part of our exclusive offering to members. The P&C Federation supports, advocates for advisors and resources, P&C associations across New South Wales. So if you ever have a query, there is no question too big or too small. The team and I are here to support you, and I encourage you to reach out. We're recording tonight's webinar, and it will be available on our website, and a link will be sent to you via email in the coming days. Tonight's webinar will be presented by Yvonne Hills, President of the P&C Federation. Yvonne has served as President of Birchgrove P&C Association, and she sports an impressive track record in both fundraising at her school and supporting other parent volunteers to raise funds in their school community. So we're very lucky to have her here tonight. We'll be discussing all things fundraising tonight, but with a high school focus. If you also have involvement in your primary school P&C, or if that area is of interest to you, we have a recording available of the webinar that we did just recently on the topic of fundraising in primary schools. So tonight is a discussion. We encourage you to be as involved as possible. Please put your questions in either the Q&A or the chat. We are here to answer anything and everything that comes up tonight for you, so you get as much as possible out of tonight's webinar. So without further ado, I'll take this opportunity to pass over to Yvonne. Thank you, Yvonne.
Fabulous. Thank you, Gemma. And Gemma heads up our member service team at the P&C Federation. I will have email addresses at the very end of tonight, not only for myself, for anyone who likes to ask me direct questions, love answering them, but also to support, for you to support and go direct through to Gemma and her team so that we can, like she said, really offer some support. All questions are, no matter big or small, Gemma and her team will be able to support you on that as well. But it's so grateful that you're here tonight. I know how difficult it is. For those of you who joined as we were going live, my 9-year-old was hardcore negotiating for rice cakes and some snacks, knowing that I was going to be on this webinar for a while. So I'm sure many of you are most probably navigating that as well. All right, so let's us begin. So first of all, I would like to also acknowledge that I am on the Wongal people of the Eora Nations of this great land, and really do want to pay my respects as well. And I think it's very important to recognise how we are, the respects of our elders past, present and emerging, and really celebrate the diversity of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islands, and for anyone here who is represented as well, who, for our wonderful great land and our waters. I think the big thing for me tonight is very much about how we can really start to generate some new ideas for high schools in particular. I am a primary school parent. My daughter is in year 4. I had the delight of joining the P&C week 3 of her first term at preschool. Our school has a preschool, and joined the P&C, came out as head of fundraising. By the end of that year, I was president, and then was president for 5 years, acting president for the last 2. Couldn't get anyone to replace me. So, and then I joined the board as vice president for a term, which is 2 years. And this year became president of the P&C Federation board. So my lived experience is definitely primary school. I certainly support and help a lot of high schools as well, but very much want to see how we can look to see, for some of you as high schools who might not do much fundraising or sponsorship or grants, how we can look to see some strategies. And I do want to see this as an ongoing conversation as to how we can support from a federation point of view. I personally love fundraising and sponsorship and looking at ways we can activate and engage the community. But I really want to be clear that you will be the experts of your particular high school, your region, your community. A lot of the things I'll be sharing tonight will, might be some new insights, some new information. I always say to everyone, I'm a full-time trainer and facilitator as an FYI, so I am on camera facilitating 5 days a week. Is put a curious cap on tonight to see, is there some new ideas that if you were to implement into your school, might bring an extra $500, might bring an extra $5,000, might bring $50,000. That if you were to kind of go, let's put a curious cap on and ask ourselves the question, is there something that we could do differently, maybe not this year or next year or the year after, but maybe planned into future years, could actually give some significant change? And that's kind of the angle I'm approaching tonight's webinar, which is for high schools. Last week we did primary school. My example specifically that I'm going to share, which has been started to get implemented also in high schools as well, is to look at some different ways to do fundraising, but I've also incorporated sponsorship and grants as well. And as Gemma said, fire away your questions. We thank you so much for the questions that came in ahead of tonight. Some consistent themes. How do we get volunteers? That's a big question to get primary and high school, and certainly some strategies. So, but I've got the chat box open. Gemma and James, who's incredible tech support from the Federation, are behind the scenes as well, filtering and making sure I get to all of your questions. Heads up, last week we ran this. We had a lot of questions. We committed to answering them. We went to 8:15, still lots of questions, and we called it at 8:30. I'm more than happy to go past the 8 o'clock with all of the questions as well. So don't think that we will stop. You might need to stop, but we will keep going, and the recording will still be there, which we will send out as well. If you do have to leave early, just pop your question in and I'll make sure I answer it for you as well. So I'm really committed to helping you all figure out ways you can activate some community, either sponsorship, grants, or some fundraising strategies that isn't going to drain your time. Talking of time, we all have the same 24 hours. I don't have a magic formula for that, but I'm very much about how do we maximize the effort we put in as P&Cs. I'm a volunteer running, sitting on the board, plus in my own community as well. We all have lives, jobs, kids, cats, and everything else in between, and have the same 24 hours. So I'm always looking at ways that I can not be adding more into a very busy community, whether you're, a small high school to a large high school, but also not to burn the small, often but mighty P&C community. So that's a lot of the strategy I'm going to share tonight, is how we can maximize it. And then I get it. It's complex. We're dealing with volunteers, kids, schools, teachers, principals, communities, anyone who's got a great idea but doesn't want to come in and do those great ideas. And it's a lot. It's highly emotional when you're working with volunteers who it's personal for their kids, or there's some history in the school. And I understand that I've supported not only within my own school community, but also with others. And so again, it's looking to see how we can get a good fit for, making a difference to our kids. And in some aspects, it's getting some more resources into the school. We could debate that there should be some more funding for that. Trust me, we are looking, we know it's a constant thing for us here at the P&C Federation of how we can be supporting to get some more funding in, but that's not a quick fix right now. But looking to see, how you can activate different parts of your community to contribute and fund, even if contributing is putting in more time. They might not have funding, which I get that as well. But looking to see ultimately that our kids have a great environment to thrive in, some good education, and if we can tip in as a P&C to put in a bit of funding that could, you know, build some external resources, put some resources inside the class, and, you know, make sure that our kids aren't missing out on some of the things. Meanwhile, we're trying to move some of the big rocks. This is why we're here tonight. So, yeah, so hopefully we'll get through a lot. All right. Within all of that is ultimately for me is how do we balance out that we are volunteers, we are juggling families, kids, life, everything else. You know, whether you're working or not, doesn't matter. You're still just as busy as all of us in all the things that we do. And then you go, oh, I'm going to put my hand up and join the P&C. And I'm sure there are many of you tonight who put your hand up to join the P&C thinking, I'll just go to a couple of meetings, came out, fundraising something, exec of something, and, you know, before you know it, you think, how did that happen? So, yeah, I've had that lived experience. One of the things I'm really mindful of is creating a safe space in this event tonight, that one thing we all have in common, we are part of a P&C in any capacity, whether you're an exec, an office bearer, or you're part of the community, and to really create a great safe space. With that, I just ask that, you know, if we have respectful conversations, you might hear some things and go, what? Just be mindful that, you know, we're all attempting to help each other and have some good conversations about how we can do a little bit more. Yeah, just respect for everyone in this community that's showed up tonight is always a great place to be. And we'll do our best to certainly get through all of the questions. And I love the fact that we're getting some questions coming through, which I will certainly come back to shortly. I'm very conscious too that one of our greatest challenges is how do we do all of this when we are so often stretched and time poor, which, you know, I don't know anyone who has a lot of time on their hands to get everything done as well. All right, so let's keep working through. One of the key things we're going to walk through tonight is how do we have some good strategies and planning. So for me, hope is not a strategy. I'm a big believer of planning. I'm a big believer of putting in a consistent strategy, have a good working relationship with the principal, which sometimes, you know, it's not feasible for all of you. I get an understanding of that, but really seeing how we can just reduce the unnecessary extra stress, or what I call bandwidth, that occurs anyway by having some good structure and planning in place, and that we don't burn out our teams, including you and the roles that you may play, but we have a long-term approach of a bit of a marathon. And a marathon in your school might be 12 months. In some schools, that might be a 2 or 3 or a 4-year plan. I'm going to share the plans that I put in place with Birchgrove, but moving away from this constant sprinting term to term. Let's get something in the planner. Now, you might not be able to change that in the immediate future or even in the next 12 months, given where you are in your cycle of P&Cs. But I think so much of what can be reduced in terms of the stress and the burnout of some P&Cs is just pushing it out a little bit further in terms of what can we achieve in the next 12 months to 24 months rather than term to term to term, which there's enough stuff that happens at a term to term basis anyway that we sometimes can't avoid. But I do think we can reduce some of that. And that's what I want to share and help with tonight as well. And look, I do want to acknowledge that we are in some pretty interesting times right now financially, with mortgage interest rates and all of that, plus on the back end of fires, floods, and a thing called COVID, that some schools, you know, really weathered different storms, literally and figuratively, through the last couple of years, never mind the, you know, our children, plus everything else we were doing. So I will be sharing some numbers and things of what I've seen in my own community, but it's very much about contextualizing it to your community as well. And one of my big focuses when I look at is fundraising is, yes, I'm wanting to look at where I can get some good return on the effort we put into making sure we get some good money coming back in to put towards whatever we're doing for our kids. But I'm very much filtered through the lens of how do I connect our activities to our community, and whether a community involves someone putting in $2 an afternoon, some time, or some expertise. I'm looking at how I can activate generally. Yes, I'm going to share some numbers about what some of the results we have and some ideas that I think will work with a bit of a different spin in high schools. And again, it might not be next year, it could be the year after. But I do think there is some ways to just make it easier. It still takes effort, but potentially for the effort you're putting in, you might get a little bit more back financially. And again, whether your goal is to do $500 or $1,000 extra this coming year, or $10,000 or $20,000, we're going to ask for a poll shortly. It's all relative to what your goal is. So, but again, I want to make sure I can answer as much of your questions as possible. What we're going to do in a second, and this is all completely anonymous, there's no reference to who you are, where you're at, or what school it is, but I've got James, who's our tech support. We've got 3 questions we're going to ask as a poll, purely so I've got some information to understanding where you've been last year, where you have been this year in terms of your fundraising, including sponsorship and grants, and then what you're wanting to achieve next year. It is completely anonymous. It's purely for my own insights to see, is there some other things that we can be supporting you with, sponsorship strategies or grants, or understanding how much you are needing to put into your schools. As I said, it's completely anonymous. So James, could we start with our first poll, please? If you haven't used Zoom before, it's going to come up on your screen with a poll. Voila. I just want to get an understanding of last year, 2022. How much did you raise? Totally okay if you don't know, just don't answer or put in the chat box. Again, this is completely anonymous. Nothing. We only collect the data of what you put in, not who you are, where you're from. I'm just curious to get a sense of how much did you raise last year? We'll just pause here and give you a moment to answer the poll. And I've just kind of categorized it. Some of you might not do fundraising. I know some high schools don't do fundraising. Some of you do. It's just so I've got a sense. Yes, it can. Yes, include P&C contributions. Great questions. Thank you for those asking it. Include grants. Put all the money in that you're collecting on behalf of your efforts as P&C. Grants, sponsorship, P&C contributions, sausage sizzles. I've kind of categorized roughly where it might be. And even if you collected the grant that year, but you're spending it this year, pop it into 2022 because you won the grant in 2022, you just hadn't spent it. All right. Okay, let's see how we're going. All right, James. James, I can't see on my screen the results of the poll. Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Awesome. Let's have a look at this. All right. So, okay, this is great. And again, no, this is just purely for me to get a sense of where and what. And what I'd really love to do is in a year's time, I'm going to run this event, this webinar again next year, because there's been a lot of requests, but I'd really love to come back in a year's time and see how have you gone, to see if we've been able to provide some strategies that have really helped. Okay, this is awesome. So we've got a few of you have raised nothing, 1 to 2.5K, 4 of you 5 to 10, 20 to 50. Okay, great. Now, some of you that may have also included your canteen money secondhand uniform, and that's great. We just want to kind of get a sense of that. Perfect. All right, James, second poll is, what is this year looking like? Now, some of you might still be fundraising or collecting money, so just guesstimate, but what does that number look like for you in 2023? If you could raise that poll for me. Thank you, James. That'd be awesome. All right, fabulous. Where are you at this year, roughly, if you're still fundraising? Community building grant would have come through, so at least you'll have known if you've got it, which is good. Most of the grants have come through. Awesome. Okay, great. All right, this is really good. It's got some, okay, great. This is really great. We've got a few little shifts in some of the percentages. Third question, and then we're done. We'll keep moving into the presentation. What do you want to raise next year? What is your goal for 2024? Imagining you got your grants, your sponsorship. Imagine it was all the stuff that you asked for, just so we can grab that. All right, and some of the questions coming through, great. I will be, I've got those highlighted for you as well. All right, so just checking, what do you want to be raising for 2024? Awesome. All right, James, how are we looking on that one? Fabulous. Oh, good. We've got some great goals. Perfect. And some of you aren't a fundraising school, and I totally get that. So that's good. All right, fabulous. Don't have it. That's all right. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, James, for running that poll. That's brilliant. Appreciate you all getting into that. All right, so let's dive deep into a bit of a roadmap. So what I want to do is share, for some of you who went to conference, some of this information. I ran a keynoting conference, which was had a lot of positive response, and we just know that we get a lot of requests of how to help people fundraise, and I like fundraising. So here we go. So let's talk about some of the fundraising foundations, and I'm going to drop into some specific strategies, which I think contextualized to high school will actually help some of you. I don't have a one-size-fits-all, but that's why we're going to do some Q&As, and I'm going to be able to answer some questions live and see how we can, just brainstorm some different ideas for you. Obviously, I don't have the specifics to your school or community, but we'll give it a good crack, everyone. All right, so if we look at the fundraising foundations, I see there's 5 key things. First of all, primary is about fostering that community spirit. That's one of the key objectives I've always got. Whether I am doing something different that can activate different parts, whether it's something we're providing in the school that is really drawn to certain parts of the school community, both parents and, of course, children or students. So it's looking, as I plan out my year, do we need to be thinking about different ways that are going to light up different parts of our community? When I say community, I'm primarily talking about inside the school community, but including my parents and carers. I personally want to do as much planning as possible. Now, some of you, that might only be 1 year. Some of you, I aligned fundraising and contribution plan aligned to the school's 4-year plan. I went, this is my opportunity. How do I align to that? So I took that as my opportunity to see where I could do that. I also wanted to put a bit more stability between the school and the P&C, because I know how every new P&C, whether you have a full exec change or a partly of your exec change, like a president or your vice president, secretary or treasurer, or you just get some new parent communities rocking on up, it's very difficult if you're always in that new idea. Oh, we've got new ideas. Oh, we've got this, we've got this. You absolutely need to have the freshness coming through, because there are different elements that occur. I mean, hello, COVID, fires and floods. But there's a baseline that I wanted to stabilize, because for the few of you that are actually doing the work on a P&C, which I'm assuming that's all of you because you're here tonight, the workload can be too immense. And I think we do so much. How can we reduce that, but not reduce the impact of what we do? So I want to plan, I want to communicate that to my school community, and I'll talk to you about how some of the strategies I've implemented. When I say I'm talking on behalf of the P&C, it's definitely a team. I had an incredible exec team and some wonderful parent volunteers, small but mighty, but I wanted to streamline as much of that as possible. I didn't have capacity to be constantly throwing everything up in the air every single year, and I don't think it's good for the school either. I really, again, looking at combination of events serving different parts of the community. Wanting to reduce bandwidth is one of my key things. Bandwidth for me is stress, being overwhelmed, capacity at the mercy of volunteers, not showing up or pulling out last minute. So it always comes back to the select few. Very common, even if you've got a very good, robust team, life happens. And then very much about how do we celebrate to our school community the success of all of the great things. And it's not always about the success of the size of the amount you raised. It's, for me, the impact for the community. Absolutely, we've had some big goals over the years to do some huge upgrades, which have required a lot of coin. But I'm celebrating the small wins as much as I'm celebrating the big wins, because it takes so much effort to get any successful fundraising, sponsorship, grants happening in the community. So in tonight's presentation, I am going to focus more on some particular activity that I have found is been very successful. It's been rolling out through a couple of school communities who've seen me present this, and I wanted to drop into a little bit of the specifics and see how we can contextualize this for high schools. Plus, I want to talk about sponsorships and grants, and very much create a success plan for you. All right. I'm a big believer of reducing some of the friction and creating more flow. All right, let's get into some of the nitty-gritties, and then I'm going to drop into lots of detail and then start plowing through the questions. So I see there's 4 key areas that we as a school community are looking at how we can be generating money as such in conjunction with some of the schools' budgets. And I'm not here to debate about where we think our schools should or shouldn't be spending money or how much money they're getting in. That's a different conversation. We just work with what we've got and look to see how we can still supplement and support our kids. The first one for me is fundraising as a core basic for one of the things we do as P&C. This is not our only function as P&C. We do a lot more around governance and ensuring that many elements happening. One of the functions for many of us in P&Cs is fundraising. Not all P&Cs fundraise. Online events, community participation, activating that. Second component is grants, and grants for me, the big one for a lot of people is the annual community building grant. There is some specifics that you require to be able to apply grants. My experience from having applied for a lot of grants is if you can demonstrate you're good with your money and you have a plan, typically, not always, you have a strong possibility. So grants are a very useful strategy, and Gemma, Member Services, and I are certainly looking to see where we can access some more information around grants, because for some of you there's local grants that wouldn't be on a national or a state database. There are some general grants that might be. Sometimes I find with grants the amount of paperwork, red tape, and stringent tracking of it sometimes is prohibitive, where if you had a good fundraising campaign you might be a bit more nimble. So I think it needs to be very clear, and also you often have to be very specific with, you do have to be specific with the rules and regulations around the grant, is my experience, where when you're generally fundraising, you've got a little bit more, a lot more freedom as to where you spend that money, as long as you're being transparent and discussing it in your campaigns. But grants sometimes are so super niched that sometimes they're difficult to then facilitate in your school, but it's a case by case with some of the grants. Third component for me is sponsorship. Now, sponsorship for me as a strategy has been, we have a 3-pronged approach with fundraising in our school. Fundraising, I do grants, or the team do a grant, and then we also do business sponsorship. I just want to touch base that sponsorship for me has been one of those great opportunities to demonstrate value to our local business community. I personally have chosen a strategy to only look for 4 key businesses for the year. We in our school, if we have a banner that is recognizing that these 4 sponsors are for P&C, so they're allowed to go on our fence because it's a P&C banner, where we've approached a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, an architect, and various ones is usually the 4th one. But I've wanted to reduce the bandwidth of P&C constantly looking for recurring cash flow at an event based, which always an event might be our big night out where it's parents only, or we might do a fete. There'll be some specific sponsors for that event, but I look to see where could I get a little bit of a base of cash, essentially, from business sponsors, where we could demonstrate how value for our sponsors, if we could get a P&C banner on the fence, which our principal was more than happy to give permission. We're a heritage listed building, but it's very clear that it's P&C sponsors supporting our community. That had allowed us to generate an annual business sponsorship contract, where we created a sponsorship agreement saying that they could be at all of our events. We have a lot of events. Again, as a primary school, it's easy for us at times to have events, but that certainly took out some of the constant need for looking for smaller bits or increasing the frequency of looking for some cash flow throughout the year by having 4 good sponsors that were aligned to our community, and then we could demonstrate value by a logo on a banner that we created. $270 from Officeworks to have 4 banners on it, 4 logos on there. Principal is very happy for us to have that on the fence. It does meet infrastructure guidelines, as Jim pointed out last week, because as long as it's clear to say it's for P&C. So that for me is a good one. And then if you're running events as well. And I do think even in this economy, we were very mindful over COVID. We readjusted all of our pricing models to accommodate, and gave all of our business sponsors an opportunity to cancel their contract with no ramifications, which we wouldn't put anyway, to be really respectful and mindful that, you know, we all got hammered a bit in different ways in COVID, but that's a really strong component. And I still think there are some good opportunities for high schools to look to see how they can incorporate that. The other one I've got here is infrastructure. Now, this is about understanding what is the plan in your school, and this is where you need to liaise with your principal, is understanding what are some of the plans that infrastructure have that might be doing some upgrades. And I raise this because there's sometimes some opportunities where you can be part of the project with infrastructure if they go, hey, well, can we collaborate with the school community? They might have some budget. Can P&C put in a bit of funding, and infrastructure can put in some? So it's an interesting conversation. It's a conversation your principal has to lead with infrastructure. They do have plans. There is a big queue for getting things done. But sometimes if you know that there is some planning coming through with infrastructure, there can sometimes be opportunities to go, we would also be interested in being part of that if, you know, if that can help get some funding towards the school outside of what's already been budgeted. So I just raised that because there have been many opportunities at times where schools, P&Cs and infrastructure with a bit of planning have been able to forward plan some big projects that you might not ever be able to fund as a P&C. And, you know, there's questions as to it shouldn't be funded all by a P&C, but maybe collectively with a P&C and a school putting in a certain amount, infrastructure can contribute. But again, that's a specific strategy and conversation to have with your principal, and they have to lead it because it goes internal to Department of Education and Infrastructure, who, you know, sometimes they have a plan and you're on the plan, you just don't know it. And so that's some of the big conversations. All right, I want to drop into this, some of the structure and strategy, and then I'm going to go into a lot of the questions that I'm seeing. For me, it's about having a plan. This is the plan I finished as president last year at my daughter's school. I'm still an active member on the P&C as a board member as part of our things, but I've stepped down as president of my daughter's school. I'm president of the board. That's enough presidents for me. But one of the things I established in 2021 with an incredible P&C was looking to see where we could start to put a bit of structure in place. Actually, we did this in 2019. So we put together two components. One, what we called our contribution plan, of where us as a P&C would put together some things annually. By that stage, I'd been on the P&C for a couple of years. I kind of knew the cadence of what we could or couldn't do. We're also in the height of COVID. We're very conservative. It was all subject to if we got it. It was, you know, can't guarantee anything. But I just said, we just need to map out. We did 4 years in alignment to the school's school plan, which all schools do have a plan. And I said, look, if we can contribute bits and pieces here and there, some things for inside the class, which is the enrichment tree, which is a strategy I'm going to share tonight. The green area was an outside area. We were wanting to do some upgrades with technology that would be supporting a broad range of our kids. We helped with year 6 graduation. Obviously, I'm primary school, so obviously year 6. But it just gave us as a school a bit of a plan. We ran surveys through our parent community and lots of consultation with the school and our P&C. But it made a significant difference for us getting grants, me securing sponsors, reducing unnecessary bandwidth and stress of constantly having to think of new ideas, and allowed us to put a roadmap in. So I just got some content here. We consulted with our SRC. For us, we called that our student parliament. We wanted to make sure that we were putting in things that would make a difference for them. They would do their own little fundraising, you know, koalas, vision, kids, etc. But we said, what would you like? Can't give it you all, but what would you like? Workshopped a lot with the principal and the exec team, surveyed the parents and community. I use Google Survey, so there's no cost. And yes, I'll come about how we have our own parent community that we can survey. Our school allowed us to put in a survey link in there. Was School Bag. Now we've gone on to Central, allowed us to use their database to collect the data. We'll do it anonymously and so that I could get a sense of what's important to the school. Great way to get engagement. You do get obviously some people who are going to have some challenges, and that's kind of the good, the bad. We got a sense of what did infrastructure have as a plan. were there some plans for our school, and were there some opportunities, which was interesting because we found out there was some opportunities for us to work collaboratively with P&C school and infrastructure. Very much clear about how much is possible to fundraise and being really realistic and putting in sensible timelines. So this is why I personally wanted to have a long runway so that I wasn't scrambling. And I didn't know if I was going to go president each year or even be part of this P&C, but I wanted to help assist the school community, just stabilize a little bit, and really work on the fact of what is the P&C stability. It's always small numbers. Even if you've got a big P&C, from my experience, most of us only have a small working community within the P&C. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't burning me out, my team, or being unrealistic. Now, I'm in a demographic which absolutely has a wide spectrum of economic diversity, and I know that it's not everyone's community that might have such a wide range of diversity. I'm in inner west in Sydney, in Birchgrove. I am conscious of that, and yet I'm still looking at ways that I can have meaningful contributions and engagements from all parts of my community. I'm not attached to how much they're donating. It's about them feeling like they could do something within their community. And again, and so I just want to make that really clear. I'm aware of the fact that I have a very diverse economic spectrum, but the lens of which I was always working through was, how can I help every part of our community feel like they're contributing, whether it's time, cakes, money, reading in our classes. Not that we did, couldn't do that for that, but that for me is what community engagement is. And that's what fundraising, sponsorship and grants pulls us all together to make a difference to our kids. So, yeah, but yeah, even if you're in a community that, you've got different challenges, I think there's still ways that you can unlock community engagement. And then the final piece was the engagement of volunteers. It was tough as nails going through COVID. And that was the most common question we've seen coming through about how to get your volunteers. I looked actively for strategies to reduce the need for huge volunteers and instead reduce that, but not reduce our impact. All right. Next, it was about planning. So once I had the contribution plan, which we did a 4-year plan, liaising with the school to go, if we had the money, this is what we'd like to help spend it in your community, your school community. Principal worked really well with us on that. We were looking at ways we could add value. If we could get all the money, great. If we couldn't, well, we still gave it a good crack. I then put together a fundraising plan. I wanted to, again, dream big and go, if I could stabilize and us do something every term, which didn't happen every time because of COVID, but I gave my school community notice that this is the rough plan of what we've got for the year. So they could go, great, we can see that there's a fundraiser in term 1 called the Enrichment Tree. There's a welcome back barbecue to have us all eat sausages and celebrate being back in school grounds. If we could do a fete term 2, which is our classic fete, good gosh, so much work, which got grounded with COVID. Term 3, we did something just for the parents off-site where they could kick their heels off, and in our community, they were comfortable having a comedy show, and we could sell alcohol and make a bit of money from that, but basically just get parents activated. And we might do a little Christmas tree for the kids at the end of term 4. Every term we'll do a secondhand uniform fundraiser, which we sell t-shirts for $5. So that money would just tip into the mix. It was also a way to make sure we always had free uniforms for our families who are financially challenged and need uniforms. We always made sure we had a huge stack of it with an agreement with the office going, don't ask, just take, help those families who need it. We want to make sure our community is taken care of. It's a small mechanism for us to move some uniforms out from the merchandise place that we buy expensive uniforms from to helping our community who might need just a $5 t-shirt. So that was another way we could help activate. All right, map out as far as advance. What are your communication channels? So I'm going to talk a lot more about that. We have good communication channels between WhatsApp groups for each class. I'm going to talk about how we created that. We used to have Facebook groups for stages. It just became too many places. We are allowed to send out a newsletter through our school community in theirs. But I had channels that I could communicate direct to our parents. There we go. I always start with my budget first. I don't do anything just for, I want to make sure that we're at least breaking even. But I want to make sure for the effort we're putting in that we are going to bring something in. It's not always about the big money, but I just can't burn out my community and keep asking volunteers to show up if we're not getting at least something to turn around. Reducing surprises. That's what I want to map out. It's not set in stone. These are nice guidelines. If we can make it work without pandemics, floods and fires, we'll do it. But I want to stop people going, what? You're just asking us now and it's term 3 and you're expecting us to put money in for something? It's like, no. I want to stop the pressure of parents being asked for time or money. Bandwidth, volunteer fatigue, map it out so they've got time to think it through. Increase the ROI. Even though we're a not-for-profit, I don't want to burn out my community and then not have any money to show for it to put into our items, because that has then volunteers go, why do you keep doing this? All right, let's go to some questions. And then I'm going to share the strategy, which I think contextualized for high schools is going to really work. All right, let's have a look. What have we got here? Let me go into here. So, got a question here. Do many P&Cs have their own databases that they can mail parents and perhaps alumni? So one of the strategies we did at our school is we are, and I say we are allowed, but I've heard this now being on the board, that some schools or principals, this is not an us and a them with principals or schools, don't encourage parents to sure that looks different at a high school. We would have a piece of paper going, if you want to join the P&C list to get, insights or join the team, write your name down. I shifted that to a Google survey form where someone could enter it in for their family, parents, obviously not kids. And if you want to be part of the P&C community to receive our information, be on our lists, we will not market anything else apart from showcase some of our sponsors. We would build our lists and we would build classes so that we would then have a class rep. We would invite them to create a WhatsApp community, and all volunteer, of course. Very clear spam guidelines. Do not sell or do anything in these lists. It's just a communication channel for us as P&C. And we would have about 90% of the school community go, you know what, that's a great idea. Now, again, in high schools, you've got a different dynamic because you're not on site as much as a primary school parent. You might slow down the car enough to let the kid out, is what some of the high school parents say to me. Or your kids are going to school without you because they're old enough to. So that's a different dynamic that I certainly recognise. But I have spoken to some schools where they still have stage Facebook groups, or they might have some newsletter channel that is particular to that. The easiest mechanism I found to create those lists, provided the school is okay to be the one to send it out through their newsletter, is to create a survey form with a link, put it in a school newsletter if you're allowed to go, would you like to join stage 5's newsletter or the stage 4, and then do that. And that was the fastest way that we were able to build our community, with the pure guidance of creating our own P&C community that we could communicate, promote our events, ask for volunteers, and also be there as a support. So if things are occurring, that we can communicate. So that was the big thing that we were able to do, that allowed us to create our own database, purely opt-in by the parents, and it turned out to be handy for us in our school. There was a couple of times when the school CRM, the school communication system, shut down. It actually happened once at a department level. We were able to then communicate to the whole school community via our channels that the school system had shut down, and that they were in the process of working. So the school benefited from us having a database. It wasn't 100%, but it had enough of that school community. So that's one of the ways that we were able to build that, because I was interested in creating a connection to my school community, parent community outside of the school, to do our surveys, which we used Google surveys, promote our events, ask for volunteers, wrangle people into the P&C. We would do a weekly summary of some of the key dates happening that term as a reminder for all parents, as a courtesy on behalf of the P&C, basically taking out some of the highlights of the schools. But we just wanted to keep a little bit more of an active engagement. Now, at a primary school, you're doing a lot more frequency, is my understanding. with some of the high school P&Cs that I I support. It's not that level of cadence because you're dealing with different aspects, but certainly for me, looking at how to build a database, there's still mechanisms to do that. Yeah, flyers can work. QR codes, we will do posters on the fence. QR code, we've built our own website, so we could have a landing page saying, if you're this stage, click on here. If you're that stage, click on that. But again, we found that our school really encouraged or liked the fact that we had our own communities, because then we could actually serve as a purpose also for communicating extra things. But for me personally, it's about very much how do you build that relationship with the school so that we can be seen as part of the community and communicating those components. What have we got here? Look, my survey templates were very simple. I would do it anonymously. I would break it into categories of what some of the key things would be. I wouldn't do an open, what do you want us to spend money on or fundraise for? Because I then have to deal with the disappointment for everyone when I can't answer all of those questions and something might be too obscure. So we would categorize. Do you want some outdoor equipment for XYZ? Is there a particular project for a department, whether it was music, sports, technology? We tried to keep consistent because all kids had access to technology. Most would do sports, but technology for us was consistent. And then we would do strategy specific to classes, which we've now moved into stages. Yes, question here about voluntary contributions. I'm going to come to that in a second. All right, I'll just keep an eye on this. QR codes for us, once we got through COVID, everyone knew QR codes, which we used. Ooh, I froze for a minute. Let me just plug in my internet here. I am being impacted by storms. Hopefully that's come. All right, let me keep moving into now, this is a specific strategy I want to share. Like I said, I think contextualize for high schools, and we'll talk about how we can contextualize it. I do think there's some good strategies. I know of a couple of high schools that are looking to figure this out. So just to give you some background, obviously this is a primary school example, but just bear with me. When we had a fete, second term, and I discovered that there was this thing called the wishing tree, which is a physical tree, wooden tree, and teachers would put wishes on the tree of things they would like in their classroom. So things like, now, again, one could say, why is this not being funded? These are teachers who want extra things for their classroom and would often pay for them themselves. So they'd put in these wishes. And so this wishing tree would go up in fete. I realized it was very specific to only people who attended the fete could buy these things. Could be plants or extra special paper or things that they could do in their class. It could be really interesting, books, really interesting things. And so it was bespoke to each class, and if the teacher put it in, hopefully they'd get it. It was very labor intensive, and it was very, very slow to get into the class. Our fate would be term 2, week 2. Yeah, term 2, week 2. By the time you wrap up the fate, which, gosh, they're exhausting anyway, all those moving parts, by the time we go and buy the products, half the wishing tree would only get donated because it was reliant on foot traffic on the day. And it was just really average for helping specific needs of our classroom. It also coincided that we were doing volunteer levies. So our school, I don't know who came up with the number, I just inherited it as president. We're asking for $125 for a child for volunteer levies for the P&C, and then that would go into the kitty and it would be dispersed throughout the year for a variety of things. Now, it was very difficult to collect. It came out at the same time with school fees. Half the time people would pay that with their school fees, so we were badgering the school to go, did you get our money? They'd go, yes, let us tally it up. And I was like, oh, this has got to be a better way. It was just clunky, very labor intensive, and just, I always think there's got to be a smarter way. So instead of us doing it as a physical thing and considering that we were still collecting volunteer levies in 2018, we went, what could we do that can open up to new opportunities? And this is what I think is going to be, it could have some interesting conversations for you as high schools. So we then shifted to go, let's change it from the wishing tree for a start, and let's call it the enrichment tree. And it's very much about enriching the lives of our kids. and looked at what could we then do that could expand us from being so localized, weather dependent, plus volunteer levies, which were just awful to collect, and instead move to a digital platform. Now, little did I know that we were ahead of the time with what was going to hit us with COVID. So I started the planning with my exec team in 2019, because we ran our FATE in 2019, which is the last FATE our school has done. We said, let's flip something on its head. Rebranded as the Enrichment Tree. By term 4 of 2019, we were sitting with the exec and the teachers, and I said, we're going to do this differently. We know that you are putting in money in, teachers are putting in their own money. Let's put this as an online thing that we can open it up to a broader community and get a little bit more specific to what you might need in your classroom. Or now we do it as a stage because we've got enough product in our kids' classes. But the planning started the year before because we wanted to hit the ground running for 2020. So we then launched officially 2020 term 1, but all my marketing started in 2019 now. And I got the teachers planning for what did they need for the future year, and I sent them a big spreadsheet, which we've got a spreadsheet, a master spreadsheet you can use as well. But one of my big things is don't leave things to the new year, start the year before, and this is why I wanted to create a long-term plan. We also decided not to ask for P&C levies because they sucked, and it was so difficult, and it was very, very excluding for families who had different budget constraints. And I did not want to put pressure on my families who have multiple kids, or even if they only have one kid, being asked to put in this 125, which we'd inherited as a fee, because there was no consideration to, well, what happens if they can only afford $10? What happens if they can't afford anything? And then they're just completely excluded. But what happens if they want to just do something small, but it wasn't, they didn't feel they could? And I just found it was too divisive, and it, to me, didn't create that community vibe, which is what I wanted to. So we took that out. I also knew that for many of us, we have family members who don't live local, who potentially would love to contribute to our kids' or grandkids' schools, and we weren't activating an opportunity for them to do that. So that's why we created the Enrichment Tree, which I'll go into a bit more detail. And I tell you who came out of the woodworks for that? Grandparents. And I would get these lovely messages from grandparents going, I've just put $5 towards my kids' class. And this is primary school, so, you know, put it in the meaning. And it was delightful. And they said, thank you. We've never been to one of your fates. We hear all about them. We see the photos. You know, we don't pay school fees or whatever. But anyway, this is how they can contribute. It radically reduced fundraising fatigue because by term 1, I'd already put a decent strategy of fundraising and very low bandwidth. There was only the treasurer and I. Whoever saw behind the scenes, everything was incredibly confidential as to who spent what. It was no one else's business anyway, including the teachers. So it was only my treasurer and I, and my VP would also do some of the loading into try bookings. And then all I'd say to the parent community is purchase something for the kids' class or the kids' stage if you choose to. It's all invitation only. And share it with family, you know, see if some of your aunties and uncles and grandparents might want to put something in towards their kids. And some of them did, not all, don't need all. Reduced P&C bandwidth. Most of the P&C didn't have to be involved, just about championing and talking about in the community. Our teachers would do, and our principal. But it really, really, really lightened the load at a P&C level, and it increased the money raised. So the strategy that we were able to do of going deep into a class to go, what do you need? What can make a difference to your kids? Including would buy books and things like that, put in a bit of a tech fund, technology fund, bit of stuff for sporting goods. It made a big difference of backfilling some of the things that we needed in our school. And it was digital, COVID friendly. We also did this through COVID, each of the COVID years, with obviously adjusting our expectations to be really sensitive to what all of us were experiencing, but we could still do it even in lockdown, which, you know, we had to can our fate. All right, this is an example of what I would do in the back end. I've got some specifics for you. First of all, I did created a Google survey to get our parents on a list, which we did anyway, and we had them into WhatsApp groups. I personally had created class reps, or sorry, not I, the school, we'd created class reps. So I had one point of contact for each class. I work with a high school that they have that at also a stage level instead. It's like work with what works for you in your community, if at all. If not, do it at just a general school level. We would create WhatsApp groups. It works for us. Often they're very dormant, but we can slap a little picture in there. We use tribe bookings to build out our enrichment tree, where instead of it being a ticket, it was an item. Let's say it was an item like an electronic pencil sharpener, which our kindy teachers in particular loved. 24 kids standing there with blunt pencils. Now, wouldn't see that in a high school, but let's say you're doing something for the biology department, or you might be doing some sporting equipment. So you've got very tailored departments or areas of the school that you're wanting to fundraise for that might activate different parts of your community. We would just list those in tribe bookings. So then for us, it was each class had their own shopping list as such. It might, but we'd have one for library, would also have one for sports, so, and music departments. So it might be that you just do a fundraiser for the music department or the drama or the sports or the science lab, but we would just itemize a shopping list of could you buy one thing for that class. Now, sometimes we'll do things like $2 seedlings because the teacher wanted to grow plants and show them how to, cultivate. Now, whether or not you're doing that in some of your classes. So what was important for me, though, was to have a range of items that if someone only bought $2 seedlings and they'd never contributed financially to P&C levies because they were so out of their budget, never can, bake a cake or turn up at any of our events, but went, you know what, I got $2. I'm going to put that $2 into my kid's class or that kid's interest. Again, only the treasurer and I knew. We'd never comment anyway. But it was about how can we get value, how can we get our community connected? And I did see a lift in our community spirit of feeling that they were contributing. We use Google Sheets. So these are examples of Google Sheets. Every teacher would have one master Google Sheet. They knew not to touch anyone else's sheet. I said, just put in your wish list of what you want. The treasurer and I will go through and kind of adjust it so we're fairly even. I didn't want one class getting thousands of dollars and another class getting 200. We kind of went, if we can hit, when we first did about $1,500 a class, if we got it, great. If we didn't, that was it. And then it said, leave it with us and we will do the back end. We would, where possible, shop local to support our local community. But sometimes we couldn't. So we'd either get the school to buy equipment for us through their channels where we'd get savings usually as well, or we'd go to, just buy online and collate it. So it made a big difference. I found the sweet spot for us was week 5 to 7 in term 1, where we'd run a short 2.5 week campaign, but I would have marketed it ahead of that from day 1, and I'd marketed it the year before. So all parents knew, no surprises. We are running a little fundraiser, or wasn't little, a fundraiser to put some supplies direct into our class and to some aspects within our school community. There is no minimum requirement required, unlike P&C levies. Whatever you choose, if you choose to donate, we appreciate it. And then we'll just make sure that we would market considerably. You'll see here on the screen, I would track each class and send it out to the class reps. No pressure, but I'd always get asked from parents, how much have we raised? What have we done? And I found that if we just published, some of that I'd have taken out, but I'd publish how much we were asking for of each class and how much we'd raised to that date. Parents really loved the transparency of it. And that's where, when I've been talking to some high schools, that even if you did it at a stage level, or if you did your music department, giving some transparency as to what you're spending the money on, we have found really helped the parents get connected, rather than going, here's my levy, good luck. We'd use posters and QR codes as well. All right, so that is a strategy that I think has good legs on it for a high school. Obviously, you're not buying wooden toys in a kindergarten like we were. You might be doing, it might be a stage, which worked really well. It could be a particular department, but we found it's been very successful. And I've got a number of schools who come back to me saying we've started to implement that. And again, you might only be wanting to get a couple of $1,000s out of your XYZ community. We had a big lofty goal at first, and it proved to be very successful. All right, let me just come in and ask some of answer your questions. No, it's not tax deductible for us because we don't have DGR status, and DGR status only is for building funds. When we were trying to, we didn't have anything that was building a building, and I know that Gemma will be able to answer some specifics around that as well. But yeah, DGR status for us is only narrow for actual buildings, and we're putting resources inside the classrooms. And Gemma, feel free to jump in and those chats there, which I'm sure you most probably are, around DGR status and status in general. What have I got here in Q&A? One of the things I found is that my key thing was reducing volunteer fatigue. This was a good way for us to kickstart. You might even do it halfway through the year. We just wanted to get in early and get the stuff in the kids' classrooms. We got the teachers to do unboxings and send photos so we could appreciate and thank our parents. We did that for sporting stuff we got through, for our music and our technology as well. And just so that parents were feeling appreciative that, you know, their money was going to what we said it would. So it had full transparency as well. But it really reduced some of our bandwidth. And when COVID kicked in many times, we knew that if we did nothing else for the year, we'd kind of kick-started the year and put a bit of money into the school. We certainly had other projects, like we'd be doing toilets, or outside grounds where it would be a general fundraiser, like a parents' night out or something that we would be fundraising for. But we found it very successful to tailor a stage, which we now do, and then tailor specifics inside a classroom. Again, you might need to categorize it differently because you're high school, and you'd have different needs at a high school. But it really did bring out different elements of parents who financially donated into the school community, from all the direct feedback I heard over the years. And it allowed us to really tailor some of the specific needs that certain segments of our school and classes and stages needed that, you know, potentially we couldn't get through other budget or funding. All right, what other questions can I answer for you? Sponsorship for me, I just made a really simple document. One of my P&C members was a lawyer, that we said that for us, we were allowed to put a poster, which was P&C banner on the fence. We ensured that it aligned with our values. We didn't have any business that we didn't think was aligned to us as a school, including for us putting pubs on the banner, even though we would hold our meetings after our meetings at pubs. We just didn't, even though it was P&C banner, we chose that it didn't feel right for us as a primary school, even though there were no legal requirements for that, because we're not selling alcohol to kids. But we went for real estate agents, mortgage brokers, etc. And 90% of our sponsors roll over each year. We did 2 tiers. I did a platinum sponsor. Back in the heyday pre-COVID, they were 10 grand. We've dropped that price now to being more sensitive with the market and certainly COVID. And then I'd go out for 3 gold sponsors, which at that time was 5,000. Platinum was on top with a bigger logo, 3 golds after that. And it was very clear. I said, you know, it's a sponsorship. We will put you in all of our newsletters and all of our events that we do. Your logos will be there. We'll always be graciously thanking you. Any of our live events, you're always a guest of ours. We will do as much as we can as a community. Wonderful sponsors. We're so grateful for them. And you know, we will keep thanking you and promoting you as a sponsor, but I can't give you a return on that specifically. But our businesses love that because they were part of our community, and that some of them have been our sponsors now for 10 plus years. But I personally wanted to streamline it and go just looking for 4 sponsors, one platinum, 3 gold. At our smaller events or our big events like a fete, we would have specific people who might be giving things for our fete, or our adults night out where we would have a wine cage and a comedian, etc. Might have raffle prizes, etc. But I didn't want to be constantly pulling into my business community going, give us some money, give us some money. You know, all of us were trying to support our local business community. And, you know, I've got lots of schools nearby who are doing the same. So I just wanted to reduce that and not be constantly looking for money. It gets exhausting, and I'm sure all of you know that, being on P&Cs. What other questions can I answer for you? Thanks, Gemma. You answered some great questions around sponsorship and DGR status. what else what are the most impactful areas to spend P&C money on? We work, thank you for that question. We work specifically with the school for the big rocks. I am of the philosophy of working collaboratively with schools. Sure, we could say it's our money, we'll spend it on what we want. I think I'm looking for like I said, a collaborative approach. We've aligned it to some of the bigger plans that the school has. Sometimes they're not asking us to contribute. Sometimes they are. We will then offer to say if we could contribute on something. The class stuff has been really interesting because we've actually made a difference to the teachers in specifics. So that in primary school for us, we noticed, and I've heard this from a number of primary schools, that teachers would be putting their own money into supplies in the classroom. I don't know if that's the same for you as high school. And I just said to the teachers, that's not your job. Your job is to educate the kids, not put money in for glitter sticks and fancy papers that they wanted. So for us, that the classroom has been very useful. Now it's at a stage level where we might buy something that's suitable for the kindy stage or our seniors that just is shared then between classes. So we have found that to be very, very successful. One of the key things for me, I get asked about sponsorship, is I'm very clear to look at what is the value proposition. There's definitely some businesses who are happy just to have their, logo on a banner, if you're allowed a banner, or whatever it is. But I'm conscious that it's their hard-earned money, and there's no direct relation to often making money from donating to a school. Yes, there's the opportunity of connecting and making a difference to our kids. But I would look to see, and this is why I had a 4-year plan, because then I could sit down with the sponsor and go, here's what we're planning for the next we did 4 years, but even if I only had a 1-year plan. So to say that, your contribution is contributing to basketball courts, upgrading this, putting some money into music. You as a sponsor can't dictate where we spend our money. I had clear boundaries on that. It's not money in, money out where you want it to. It's too pointed for us as a school. But I want them to see that we are very fiscally responsible with the money that we raise through sponsorship grants and fundraising, and we've got a plan. And that was also the second piece I found with grants, that when you could demonstrate, and I'll talk to my local MP, particularly for the community building grants, and say, here's our plan. We have a 4-year plan aligned to the school's plan. It took a while. It didn't happen for me in year 1 as president, by the way. I didn't get that much success quickly. It took a while to build trust and relationship with the school. But I could say we've got a plan for how we spend the money if we get it, and we've got a plan for how we generate money, all going well. So it showed that we weren't just kind of randomly making stuff up each term. We would do 2 meetings a term. But again, I just wanted to put a bit of structure there, that even if I left, the plan is still going on at the school. It completes next year. It was signed off diligently through a P&C exec, P&C surveys, etc. But it helped us get more money through sponsors, grants, and fundraising, because there was a visible plan that I published on our P&C website that we created that was transparent, all conditional to us making it, and people, I found that created stability for our sponsors as well. And I'd get them to sign a contract. It was annual. I would get to November. I'd go, hey, we thank them throughout the year. Would you be keen on signing up again for next year? Obviously, would love that. And 90% of sponsors by November would go, yeah, 100%, roll me over. Most of them would pay up front too, though I would offer a 10-month payment plan, February to November, I think, or February to December, February to November. If they wanted to split it up in 10, most of them would just pay us up front. But 90% of them I would have secured now ahead of our next year. Our AGM was in November anyway. So then even if I wasn't running again, we had a plan in place, but I wanted to leave some money in the bank already, or get some money ready for the next P&C, which is what I did when I left as president of my own. What else can I answer for you all? What have I forgotten? So I guess the final thing for me, and this is the final piece, and I'll just keep answering questions, is one of the questions to really look at where you've been successful this year, what historically has gone through previously, and what you want next year to look at is, what could it be that you can start doing? It might be that you survey your school community, even if you don't have your own database. If you ask your principal if you can put a survey link, Google surveys, do it anonymously. It does mean that you may get more insights, but get a sense of what would the school like. And look, as I said, I'm very collaborative with the principal. I think, you know, you've got to work with the school in some aspects. You could certainly say, well, we could do it ourselves, but, you know, we want to demonstrate good role modeling of how can we be more collaborative and how can we support each other to achieve our goals. If you need your school to help you get survey links out, you know, you've got to have that relationship there. So one of the key things I say to schools is, what do you need to start doing? Is it putting in a 12-month plan as your initial one? Is it a 24-month plan? Is it aligning it to the school's big plan? Is it asking some questions to the principal of, you know, what do you see as some of the big rocks that you could potentially help with funding that we could plan out, even if you're not part of the committee in the future, but you've put some of that in place, and it's a really good starting place. Looking to see, what do you need to stop doing? Now, stop doing for me does things like doing short-term planning or no planning and burning out your community, or doing events that require a lot of people and don't make enough money. You know, barbecues are very difficult, I think, to make good money out of, unless you're a big school or you've got a big election or something there. You know, we've been offered many times to go do a Bunnings barbecue. When I crunched the numbers and looked at how many people I needed at a Bunnings barbecue, for a school that we can do some different fundraising, particularly with our enrichment tree, we're going to make a couple of grand. Now, for some of you, that couple of grand is exactly what you need. But when I looked at how many parents I needed, how many cakes I needed cooked, when I knew that we had a mechanism with our enrichment tree that could give us a lot more money with potentially a lot less work, I couldn't keep asking my school community for another barbecue. So that's why coming back to a plan is going, if I only get 2 options a year to do fundraising, how can I be strategic and do bigger ones? And bigger ones might be getting $5,000 profit from it, versus doing lots of little ones and making, you know, $200 and then going, why is nobody putting their hands up to help? I always think it's about looking at what's working and that you can do more of it, not always about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And then finally, it's like, what are the key actions that you can be doing? All right, let me just have a look at what other questions can I answer for you all. Okay, great question here. We've had lots of discussion at our P&C about fundraising for a specific cause, as opposed to fundraising for P&C to decide at the AGM. Look, I'm a believer of, survey your school community, get a sense of what do they want, and do some specifics. If you can be looking at, as long as you're transparent in communicating to your school community, this is why if you don't have your own database, accessing and asking the school to send out a P&C update or something, is I personally like to plan out ahead of what we're going to spend money on, knowing that there will be some things that might come up ad hoc that maybe we need to support the school on, or it becomes pertinent throughout the year. Just so, again, I'm just reducing that fatigue of constantly planning. And, you know, I don't want to be in creative mode and planning mode all year. There's enough to do anyways at P&C. So then we want that. And look, how I would run it is I would ask my P&C, I was president, I would ask my P&C, my principal privately, going, look, can you just start to brainstorm over the next couple of years, if you had a wish list, what would you want that to be? Thinking about what are your student parliament kids asking for. I was allowed to go to student parliament and ask the kids directly, the year 6 parliament kids and the representatives from, I think, 3 to 6. With a teacher there, and said, you know, is there anything in particular you want from the school that, you know, if we could, can't promise anything, but the consultation process does take the longest if there's a lot of differences and you've got some opposing views in the school community. I would, you know, I know that I disappoint people every day from not giving them what they want, and there are people who are very appreciative of some of the things we could get. I can't please everyone. I'm looking for a majority if I can possibly can. And I would always be saying, if we could do this, we will. if we, but we've got to make sure it aligns to our ability to fundraise and also not burn out our community. So for us at a primary school, it was looking at things direct for the classroom, and then we would pick an outside project, upgrading the basketball area. That's been our biggest project. That's gone over 3 years because of significant funding. Soccer areas, repainting for some of the senior kids to do, what is it called, handball or something. We've got a kindy in a preschool, so I would ask them. So, and then some of the times we went to our local community, Bunnings, and they had some sponsorship, and they said, can we paint your cubby houses and plant some native bushes? And we said, yes, that'd be amazing, thank you. So we were looking to see where we were doing things that would be garden oriented, music, tech, science, to spread the interest of the community wanting to put money or time into. Hope that answered your question, Ruth. Great question, Adam. Benefits we suggested for our gold sponsors. So one, it was only 4 spots on our banner. It was a 1 by 2 meter banner that sits on our fence. Very clearly states this is gratitude from the P&C community. These are sponsors for the P&C. Platinum gets a bigger logo, 3 gold sponsors underneath. They pay slightly less. Every time we'd publish anything, any event we had, we would have third term big night out for parents only, a comedy night. They would always be our key sponsors. We'd be doing shout outs all night. All my presidents' reports, I had their logos on it. We would market for them. We would say, if you'd like to put out a promo through our P&C community database, it was a real estate agent, mortgage broker. And I said, it's part of our contract was that it had to be something that's suitable for our parent community. I mean, our kids may or may not be reading it. I doubt they would have been, but they might have something of an open day or something. So we were comfortable because we had our own database that we could do. Most of the time they'd only do like once a year and go, hey, come in for a free quote to get your finances checked, or think of us if you're selling your house. And for many of them, we're very clear at managing expectations that you can't hammer us with marketing. This is a sponsorship agreement. We're definitely going to support you as much as we can, but we're not a marketing company. So that would be the ways that we would see how we can support. For us, we would have an Easter show. Again, I know this is a primary school example. So our platinum sponsor would do a prize at the Easter hat parade. Obviously, you're not doing that at high school, but it would just give them visibility. And because most of them roll over year on year, I would say to them, think of us as a relationship that lasts. It takes a bit to be in the community as well. Obviously, if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work. But I was managing that relationship to see it as a partnership rather than it just being, give us your cash, which I don't think like that. I'm looking for relationships. I love fundraising options that focus on the community outside of the school, which raise the most dollars. What we also do for our enrichment tree is, 1 year I did a raffle, 2020, 6 weeks before our big annual fete, which, goodness me, those fetes are nasty to run in terms of volunteer burnout. We got COVID, the school, we had to cancel our fete. Thankfully, we didn't lose much money. Immediately, I turned our efforts into, again, at early stage of COVID, none of us really knew what was going on. Immediately flipped it into an online raffle. I used Raffle Link. I activate all of our classes. I said each class has 200 digital tickets. I do not do anything that was paper. Digital tickets. We had $10,000 worth of prizes. I had 10 prizes, ranging from a $3,000 10-year running shop giving you 10 pairs of shoes. He was a local family member, to our main platinum sponsor. I said, look, let's put some of your sponsorship money towards our second prize, which was $1,500 a flight center or Airbnb, so that people could have time away. Again, early stages of COVID, we had no idea. But I had 10 sponsors. We raised $27,000 digitally. I was allowed to put a very large banner on our school fence because it was P&C. It was 4 meters by 1, stuck the biggest QR code I could ever find. And we would have people in our community put towards that online raffle. ran it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is my sweet spot for running any marketing campaign for fundraisers. So 2.5 weeks. It gave me a cycle of getting through 3 weekends. So we'd put our weekly newsletter out as P&C. Any more, I'm hammering the school. I might market it 7 or 8 times through our WhatsApp groups, the little picture saying, hey, fundraising raffle or whatever it is. And then I close it off. That I found was our sweet spot for that. Any longer, it's too long. People get sick of hearing your voice. So online raffles worked really well. There are very strict requirements, though. People out of state couldn't purchase a New South Wales online raffle. Also, anyone involved in creating the raffle, their families couldn't buy it. So I actually was the only one who did the organising so that all of my P&C could go in the draw to win whatever it was. I was quite happy to stay out of it. And just so that there was staying within the very strict guidelines of gaming, which that's where it sits under with online raffle. But Raffle Link, I found, was for us the most effective raffle site, because I could create all of the classes and say to each class, and I'd keep a tally like I did for the enrichment tree, keep promoting it, get your rallies involved, obviously buy it yourself. There's no physical raffle tickets. Just send out the links if you feel comfortable to do so. And we're generally raising money for the school, but I'd also have some guidelines as to what we're raising money for. But I've tried to move as much into digital COVID friendly examples, and even now, because, you know, I think at any point we can sometimes get hammered with, you know, restrictions, etc. All right. Let me see if I've got any more questions. Definitely, Paul, seeing a downward trend in families' volunteer contributions, which is why we stopped them. I just also found it wasn't effective. Too vague, difficult to collect if they put their money into the school kitty. I just felt like I was always hammering. It's tough. You don't want to break relationships in your school community. That was for us, but I found the enrichment tree for us was much more effective. At us, we'd raise usually about $27,000 in volunteer P&C levies, but God, it would take all term. Enrichment tree would raise about 27, 28 grand in 2 weeks. Plus, I noticed I had more people contributing, which I really liked. Someone else got some great answers in there. And look, we're definitely seeing a slow recovery as well with, you know, for us, we've got parents who've come into the school community in COVID who've never done a live event, or, you know, weren't allowed to stand at the gate to pick up their kids. Might not be the same for you as high school because you're not standing at the gates, particularly picking up your kids, but they just didn't know how to connect with the community, which was challenging. Oh, I'm just answering some of these questions. We would also, if we just needed a mechanism to collect funds for our technology, which was one of our campaigns, I just put it through Try Bookings and said technology fund, and sent that out as a link through our school community, and we just didn't do any activity to it apart from a fundraising link to say please donate. And it was they could donate anything. We said this is our target of, we wanted $10,000 at a major uphaul of something, and it was just straight out ask for something. There was no activity around it or an event or a fete. It was just purely a link to say could you please donate. I typically didn't do much of that because we found that if they were buying something specific, that would go towards it. Let me just see if I'm answering all these questions for you. I also found too, when I was doing the enrichment tree, some people just didn't care what they bought, and we just have a donate button because we had an ABN. Yeah, we had an ABN. I just had the donate button, and some people said just here's $50. Buy it with what you want out of the list. Some people just didn't care. Others were very particular. I am buying that particular item for my kids' class or for my kids' sporting thing. It's like, great, got it. What else? Tradition of fundraising scholarships. These are bursaries for disadvantaged families. Okay, there's some really good questions. Anything else that I can... question around, need a plan up front, won't we? It was consultation with the teachers, or now it's with the stage leaders. I don't know what they call them. and I'd give them time. I would start now and go, hey, we're going to implement this next year if that's your strategy, or implement it later on. We do find that starting in the beginning of the year, letting our families know that we are going to be asking for something, but the thing is that we get it into the school pretty quick, and that's when we could say your kids are going to have access to this for the whole year. Really activates, we found, our year 6 parents who are very fatigued, which I'm sure your year 12 and 11 parents are very fatigued of donating. But we found that we would get a lot of year 6 parents going, kids last year, let's just go out on a high. It's going very specific to their year or their stage or to a segment of the thing. And it really did bring out some freshness from I don't know how to say, parents who've been there for a long time. So where for us, our fresh parents are always our preschool, kinder, and year 1 who are still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed coming into the school, which I know you're different with high school. Yes, Anonymous, for engaging in multicultural community, this is where I think obviously is having options around being multilingual in your surveys as well, to account for the fact that you've got parents and carers who primary language isn't English at home, to ensure that there's inclusivity of that. And that's why we would also make sure, if we knew there were certain pockets or targets in the school community, that we would have specific options to that. So we would have a lot of things related to some of the Indigenous artwork that we're providing in the school, with upgrading our toilets with some beautiful Indigenous murals. We would ensure that we had technology, sports, music, and arts, to make sure that we're not just marginalising certain groups. If we knew that there were certain sectors who needed some additional support, we would provide that as well. It's about being transparent with what you're asking from your school community. And with multicultural, certainly in some of the schools that I've gone in and talked to P&Cs, it's just ensuring you're accounting for the fact that you need to have specific things that might be more targeted for what's important for them culturally, and also timing is important. So I know in some of the communities there's certain times of the year that it's not appropriate to be engaging your community to be active or fundraising, to respect their cultures and, you know, what's going on in their community. And that's why asking for, you know, what does the community want, and embracing some of that diversity is so important. I would always make sure I would give at least some indications of what we knew from just our group of broad parents, of some of the big things that we knew would make a difference. But it was always the opportunity, if there was something we didn't know, reach out and, you know, have those conversations with us. Because again, yes, I'm wanting to fundraise to help us put money in the bank for kids and to buy some great stuff or support our communities, but really I'm wanting to make sure our community is feeling heard, connected, and can contribute in a way that they can, whether it's time, baked goods, reading groups, ethics classes, money, you know, all contributions are valuable, not just the ones that, you know, might be cash related. All right. My gosh, 8:28. I've been talking again this whole time. Let me just answer. Yes, there is a recording. Thank you, Margaret, for sharing Raffle Link. I really found Raffle Link great. James Roos have a variety of DGR options. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that. All right, team. Thank you so much. I hope this has been useful for you. Again, reach out. There's lots of ways that we can certainly help. More than happy to reach out. Gemma and her team are sensational at answering all your member services questions and more. There's a great online forum there as well. There's lots of great things that we're launching next year to go into our communities as the Federation, particularly to support, you know, we know that we've got people in the far west, regional, rural, remote. We are cognizant that it's important that we are out and about, so stay tuned, hold on to your hats. We've got some very cool things to engage you as associations to really connect and support, as well as how we can support with these webinars and doing things like this. All right, I hope you found this valuable. I'd love to know actually what's been most valuable for those. Great engagement, by the way. Just as we wrap up, just pop in the chat box. What's been most valuable? Has this been something that's really stood out, that's useful for you and your P&C? Just as we begin to wrap up, I'd love to know if there's been one thing that's really stood out. Yes, it'll be contextualizing for high schools. I do encourage you to think about how you could do your own version of an enrichment tree at a stage level or a department level. Happy to chat further for those who need it. Information about sponsorship, great, thank you. Yeah, great. And look, plan. I didn't come out of 2018 as brand new president out of the gate with all of this stuff. It took listening to the school community, you know, getting some of it right, some of it wrong, and some of it nowhere in the middle, listening to the principal, engaging the parents and going, how do we just slow it all down and not be so reactive and not burn us out as P&Cs? Awesome. Yes, lots of good stuff. Surveying parents provides such an insight. It really does. Got to be prepared. You're not going to hear some stuff you like, most probably. Got to take the good, the bad, the ugly. Take engagement as a good thing. Encouraging connections and verbally supporting the idea with the examples. Great. Reinforce my feeling that we need to plan and set some goal. Plan. Sponsorship and confirming they need a plan. Honestly, our sponsors loved it. I said, look, this is what we're spending our money on. This is what else I'm doing to generate money as a team. You're part of that. You're part of our team, of our community. Mine loved it. They could see that we had a plan. Awesome. All right, team. Keep in touch. Reach out. Hopefully we'll see some of you when we're out and about doing some cool stuff next year. Thank you, Gemma and James from the Federation. I know this is your after hours as much as it is ours, and you've worked all day for the Federation. Reach out to Gemma, mail@pnc.org.au if you ever need any support. Alrighty, I've got a 9-year-old to put to bed who has been watching a movie. All right, team, hope that's helped and that we can make a difference with you getting some money, more money into your schools. While we also help from other avenues to help with funding. All right, everyone. Thanks, everyone.